So here we are with folks from airplanes to talk about their engine conversions for R type. That is the Cessna R TR182. This is the Type Club Zoom call in February 2026, February 10th. So lots of interest and nice to see so many people checking in. And I'd like to start. This is Scott Seller speaking. I don't see Mike Pattison here yet. He's supposed to be here. I think everybody else that's listed here that I thought was going to be here is here. I see Matt. I see Katie. Sounds like we're at some romper room or something. But all right. So Raphael, you ready to? I'm going to give you the first slide here. I thought
Yeah,
we should
sure.
introduce you and the company and tell us all the background so we know about it.
Yeah. So Mike Kelly started the company. It was in 1977. Him and his wife, and they purchased the first SDC from Bob Planes and Parts. I think that was shortly after 77, and then that was the 172. They expanded that to different models, and then from there they went into the 182 business, the 180, and then the RG. I think he was like 2001 when that he did the 300 horsepower, and then in 2000 and I want to say 18, it's when we purchased the Alamo Aerospace, which is the 260 horse SDC.
That was one of my
So
questions. You purchased that. You actually didn't develop it.
yeah, we did not. It was a Jack Sledge from Alamo
Okay.
Aerospace. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
That's about it. Yeah, and we've been making parts and supporting the SDC. So we make about 1,200 part numbers uh, to support all the SDCs that we make, and that's that's a big part of our business. So
Where
yeah,
does the RTR 182 fit into your business? I wonder how big a segment it might be.
percentage wise, I want to say it's less than I want to say like 10%. It's
Okay.
probably about somewhere in there.
So not a big portion.
No, I think we did. Let's see, Jack Sledge had done uh, close to 20 airplanes. And then since we purchased, I think we did 44 or maybe a little less than that. Maybe it's 44 total so
44,
far.
44
Yeah,
total. That's okay. That's for both 300, 260 and 300.
both. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Katie can help me out. I think we're probably number 19 on the 300 horse. And yeah,
Balance is 260 then.
I think, or maybe it's 44 260s. I should look it up. I just had the numbers and I completely forgot. And then about 20 of the 300 horse RGs.
What is the biggest portion of your business? Is it straight leg 182s or some other
For sure, 172s and then
172s? Okay.
182s. Yeah, for sure.
And how backlogged are you guys now? Just as for to get into your shop now, what is for any project? Is there any suggested
Yeah,
lead time?
right now it's about 3 months or so. Uh,
Okay.
that yeah, last year we're up to almost 6, 7 months. I think they're prior a year off, 1 year out, but now it's about 3 months where we're looking at.
Yeah, I remember when it was a year out, and yeah, so I guess that's good news that there's not such a backlog.
Yeah, I mean things are really hot back then. I mean, COVID, everybody knows it kind of picked up. Aviation picked up. GA picked up quite a bit, so it got pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And what about supply chain now? Just generally, are you how big a factor is that?
Uh, it, it was a factor, and then didn't become a factor, and now it's a factor again a little bit. It's better, but light coming wise, they we have to order those engines like almost a year before. But Katie can work out. It depends on things, but I think 3 months for the 260, and Katie can jump in if I'm making things up here, but I think it was about 3 months.
I I my, I totally understand. That's why I asked every year at Oshkosh when we ask the guys at Lycoming, Textron, simple questions, we get unclear answers. So it's not easy to not
Yeah,
easy to
it's
make sense of that.
yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, things changed quite a bit since then. So yeah, we have to place orders now, a year prior. So we have to fill it up and say, here's what we're going to order from next year, basically.
Really, you have to guess what your demand is going to be next year
Yeah.
for this. Wow, this year for next year. Wow, that's because our biggest questions lately have been about their new cylinder line and when backlog, and that number has changed like twice in the last 9 months, so substantially.
Yeah. Yeah. Things are definitely changing. So it's been interesting. I hear all kinds of stuff. So I don't know who to believe, but it's been different.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And what about your background, Raphael? Have you been with airplanes that for how long have you been there, and what's your background?
Yeah, so I let's see, I actually got in there because I have a 172 and it was a 2003. I needed a new engine, and I went in there to get a new engine, and I met Mike and Carolyn, and I pretty much stayed. So been there since '03. I mean, I got the engine on '03. I kind of went back, but '05, that's when I started officially at airplanes. So, and I have an aerospace engineering degree, and I like flying, and I wanted to be an airline pilot, but I figured, well, I'll try engineering and see what happens, and kind of now I got both of them.
Well, we have airline pilots on the call here, so I'm sure that you can
That's
get
right.
commentary if you like. But it sounds like they won't let you leave Wellington, so that's where you are.
Yeah, it happens.
All right, so shall we jump into the unless somebody else has a comment? Shall we jump into the 260? Yeah, I'm wondering about just as the airframe is concerned, what we see all sorts of upgrades for the straight leg for one Cessna 182s, right? What it almost seems to me like Cessna should have started with the 260 horse rather than a derated 0540. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Raphael?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, 230, is it 230, right? Or 235?
235 was the original,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty weak. I mean, and I make a point of flying every airplane that we work on. I fly before and after, or at least one of us in there. And yeah, for sure, we get in a 230, and it's very different. So you get spoiled with the 260, and the 300 is just insane. But it's true. I think the 260 is like a nice level for what the plane should have been, at least.
Why is that?
Oh, it's just because I just think the 230 is just underpowered. I mean, and I guess I'm spoiled because I get to fly 300 horsepower 182s all the time, but you just get spoiled with so much power. You can get out of trouble pretty quickly. You just gun it and you're off the runway. So
Yeah, I'm amazed at the factory numbers for the original airplane for the speed they get out of it and the performance and load carrying is sort of remarkable for 235 horse. But um,
yeah, yeah, it is very remarkable. That's true.
it almost seems like Cessna was planning on if they kept making them that they would have offered the 260 or more down the road, right? It seemed like they were ready for that, possibly.
That's what it seems like, which is kind of like what happened with the 172.
Yeah,
They did the Q model, but then that's when they stopped, and that's when airplanes came about.
right. So you want to talk about benefits? I mean, I love that you're an engineer and you're not trying to sell us everything, but Um, I think there's some significant advantages to rather than just more horsepower. I mean, there's other advantages too.
Yeah, I see Steve Sewell is in here. I got to fly his airplane this weekend actually, which was super nice. And I really like the RGs. I mean, quite a bit. Mainly, putting the gear up, and they do cruise. I think I was doing like a very comfortable 158, and Steve can corroborate true airspeed. 158, 160. They get going pretty well. It was a nice little trip, uh, and it makes it, especially flying my 172, going from 172 to 182 RGs. I get spoiled, but a nice space, and you can load a bunch of stuff there in the back. The plane carries quite a bit. Um, it's a good plane to fly. It's a fun plane to fly. I enjoy it. But some of the benefits, of course, is a few injections. So I think, as everybody knows, is you get rid of that dual mag thing there, which it wasn't a good design to start with. Um, and a lot of people like the three blade props, which they look a lot more manly, I guess. They look like make it more of an airplane. Um, what else we do? At least on the 260, it's a very straightforward swap, which is I think we have like maybe 12 part numbers that goes into that. And the main thing is just the induction air system that we fabricate like a custom fiberglass piece that goes to the induction air box of the engine.
You think
It's
it breathes better that because of that than the 300, for
yeah,
example, or
I would say nah, and mainly it's just because of spacing. What we
okay,
had to do, or just to get, yeah, there's not a lot of space in the back. So instead of making a
right,
sharp bend, if you had to connect the hose, we just make a steeper turn into the airbox there on the side.
sure. Yeah, one of the I think misnomers is that people think that these airplanes are real nose heavy, and when you put the bigger engine in, it's going to be it's going to be further nose heavy. I mean, I don't see that. Is that a misnomer, Raphael?
I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, I think the 182 RGs, they're kind of interesting because, and so I'm taller, and so I sit tall. But if you got somebody that's short, the panel is kind of like right over here. You can't really see it. And I think like when I fly with other people, especially like landing, and I'll say mostly nose heavy, people are going to complain during landings. And so I see that a lot of people hesitate to pull back on the controls because they kind of feel like you're dragging your tail a little bit.
Hmm.
But that's, to me, that's what it is. I mean, I don't know if they're really nose heavy, but they're not light either. But
Well,
No,
I had a straight leg
I,
for many years, and I found that the straight leg was more nose heavy than the retract. Somebody else speaking?
yeah, one thing I will say, I mean, this is they did the 260 install on my airplane finished this June, and at least my engine had last been overhauled in 92, and I at least book and weighed replacing a 1992 alternator and starter saved me 25 pounds,
Okay,
and it was on the forward end.
right. So, do you notice then? Is it nose heavier then in the flare?
Well, I mean, it's lighter now in the nose than it was before
Okay, so it
because
pitches up a little bit.
it it's not that heavy to fly. I mean, but it does not seem that nose heavy. You just have to be willing to pull.
Yeah, I just think it's a misnomer. That's all. I mean,
We
Dan, on
added
your
yeah,
we added VGs to ours, and that eliminated we were running out of elevator in the flare unless we put sand in the back of the airplane. But once we put
Oh,
VGs on, we haven't had a problem.
I was going to say I carry probably 50 to 60 pounds. I have a Arctic Air actual Freon unit in the back that's 40 pounds. It usually stays there. And to me, it seems pretty well balanced from just my experience. But I do keep a decent amount. I'll actually carry water bottles, case of water in the winter if I take the AC unit out. Just more out of habit than anything else. But it's
Yeah, interesting. I kind of look at it like every year when we annual our airplane and we put it up on jacks, it balances without a tail stand. And it doesn't need a tail stand, and so that to me and that's with nothing in the baggage compartment. I carry a travel toolkit. I probably carry 40 pounds worth of stuff back there too, or more.
mm-hmm.
So I just think it's a misnomer. That's all, that these things they're all nose heavy.
It could be rigging as well, right? I mean, there's so many variations and tweaks that have happened through the decades that,
possible.
One of the best airplanes I've ever flown, mine included, was a 1969 flight school airplane that actually had an airplane 300 in it. And when I started thinking about buying an airplane, I kind of wanted to buy the airplane. It was the most balanced, beautiful, excellent handling airplane. Visually, it was rough, but mechanically, it flew fantastic.
Sure.
I always viewed I have a 1979 or 182. I always viewed it as not nose heavy, just needs a lot of nose up trim on landing. And I'll often just land with a lot of nose up trim.
Yeah. And I have to say, I do carry a little bit of power. I just think it flies better as far as keeping straight. So I just carry just a little tiny bit power on landing. So
I do that as well.
Yeah, as well. Yeah.
But I think mainly it's like flaring and pulling the nose. You really have to be aggressive, to make sure you get the mains first, and that's what I try to do, because that's kind of my pet peeve, landing on the nose wheel. So
yeah, I actually added I took from your website all those benefits, but I added the move the battery to the tail, because I think that's a big benefit to get the battery off the firewall.
Well, yeah. So, and just to make sure, that is on the 300, the battery relocation.
Oh, it's on the 360 as well. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. It's
incorrect. Okay, I should get rid of that then. Whoa. Yeah. Okay, that's a mistake. All right, well, I'll have to change that later.
No worries.
Anything else that we want to talk about on benefits?
It's way smoother.
Very economical. Barely 13 gallons an hour, 158, sometimes 160. Not bad.
But you must.
Yeah.
It's.
Hey, Will, can you mute, please? Thank you. For that speed, what are you burning, Dan? What kind of fuel burn are you talking about? What do you flight plan at?
That wasn't me.
That was me.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I actually have flight plan at one for IFR 157, but I typically see 158 to 160 depending on the temperatures. And I fly 8,000 to 10,000. If there's a good tailwind, I go to 11. It just depends on I have an oxygen concentrator. But I'm always using the little chart that comes with. I honestly don't have it committed, 100% to memory, but it's 13.3, 13.5 at the tops. And I run wide open, 50 degrees rich at peak, because I'm trying to get to point A to point B. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty impressive numbers.
Yeah. Less than 14 at 160, it's pretty good. I thought of going to 210 and others. It's a whole different world of economics. This is probably the most economical. I've tried to talk myself into a 300 at some point in the future, but we'll see which one. That might be a fixed gear. That might be a Q model, not an R model, but 70's on the horizon.
We usually run about.
I'm sorry.
We usually run
if you upgrade your engine from the 542 235 horse to the 260 horse, does that come with a new set of performance charts that Airplanes publishes? Because I refer to those in my POH almost every flight. I'm flipping pages just to see what they're doing. But so would that come with the conversion of all the performance charts, various altitudes and settings, manifold pressures, all that?
Yeah, the 260. Yeah, we have a performance chart. It's not FAA approved or anything, but we have a performance chart on that.
Okay.
They give you a whole flight manual for the airplane. It's different
Yeah,
than what it was, so they have to provide that. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
I run at about 62% power most of the time, and we're down 10.6
Wow.
Jeez.
flow, and it's going 100 and well, I don't know 42.
Okay.
So it's very economical, and it's if you're that low on power, you can run at peak. So
Sure. Sure. So it looks like these numbers that we see here, that I took them right off the airplane's website, think they're pretty accurate.
yeah,
Sound like they are.
and if you want to go fast, it will.
Yeah.
It's much faster.
Yep. Yeah. I also, and Raphael, if you can, I don't know if you want to comment on any of the instrumentation options, but I thought that might be worth mentioning.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, mostly, a lot of people when they invest in their engines, of course, they would just go ahead and put all digital stuff, which I think that's a great idea. But the 260 horse requires some remarkings on the fuel flow gauge there. And
Right.
gosh, I think, let's see, if I think it's the fuel flow only, the fuel pressure actually. And I think that's about it. But I would say 90% of everybody, they're doing just a digital EIS,
Right. I wanted to ask you about gammy injectors. Is that part of the package?
No, it's not.
Okay.
But we, I don't know. I think light commons are usually pretty nice, even Steven. I think Continental got better too. Um, uh, and sometimes on a brand new engine, we like to wait a little bit because they
Right.
change
Sure.
quite a bit. But I think the Gammy sometimes they're good, but a lot of times we see some very nice even EGT numbers from the get go.
Right.
But they do help. But I know that at least Continental has changed now. Like I actually went to the factory and I watched how they tune up, and basically this guy's just there with injectors, and he just puts a piece of wire and keeps grinding it until he gets the perfect
Right.
flow. And
Sure.
yeah, and so I think the light commons are usually very nice, very very balanced. But it's certainly an option.
For what it's worth, I added them about 2 years ago, and I'll be honest, I haven't noticed much difference.
Yeah.
It's not pro or con. It seemed like it's pretty. I think I want to say around 30 to about 40 on the EGT spread. It stayed about the same between the two.
Yeah.
I think the intent of them is to be able to run lean to peak, maybe at other conditions, and still be able to run smoothly, right? So my airplane has it, and it gives me, I think, a little more latitude with that.
Yeah.
But if you're running 50 rich at peak all the time, I don't think it would matter that much. Like you say, it's the lean at peak stuff for smoothness where that would matter, I think. And my Gammy spread is like 0.4 gallons, which is pretty tight.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean, certainly they're nice. I never say no. If you want, I say sure. And they take care of you. You send the Gamma spread, and they'll work
Yep.
with you. So,
Yep.
But yeah, if you're doing peak or lean a peak, then certainly it helps.
So Raphael, if I have a JPI, you'll send that back to JPI with instructions to reprogram it. Is that how that works?
Yeah, we do all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
I have another question for you on cost. So I have a fairly young engine since overall probably about 220 hours, and I already have a Macaulay 3-blade prop. So would you give a trade-in for the engine or some sort of credit and work with the existing prop?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, if you call, and Katie and Nicole, they'll be better with the sale numbers and stuff, but they can certainly work with you. Yeah, on that. So, and a lot of times, and some customers will opt to just keep the engine and they can sell it, get a better price, and that's not a problem at all. You're free to do
I
it.
guess I could talk to my maintenance shop and see if they want it.
Absolutely. I mean, if you get more money for it, I mean, go for it.
Yeah, these engines are in demand, so somebody will want it. I can tell you that. There's such a backlog and such demand in the overhaul system now.
Yeah, to get a 200-hour engine, I guess, would be worth it for people.
Oh yeah,
for sure, for sure.
for sure.
Yeah, that's why I put this note here that each project varies, so it's best to contact airplanes directly for pricing.
Is there like a ballpark figure that you just for planning?
Yeah, I asked that question, and for the 260 horse version, I think 160,000 is probably a good budget number to be planning. Now, of course, if things go perfectly, it's less than that, but rarely do things go perfectly, right? So.
Yeah, somewhere I think. Yeah, unfortunately, just the engine is 96,900, and then our kit 35,000, and then the installation is 9. So basically that 35 plus 96.
Are you going to reuse the engine mount for that, Raphael, or how does that work?
Yeah, we reuse it. Reuse the mount. We depending on condition, we look at welds and things like that, check for cracks, and it's not unusual. Some customers, they just want us to take it out and blast it, clean it, inspect it, and then we paint. So that's very common.
Yeah.
With the fuel injection, does it go to a higher fuel pump, fuel pressure pump on that for the mechanical pump?
Yeah, yes, it does. Let's see. Yeah, there are 3 different model ranges in there, but they all get a pump. I think. Let's see. Yeah, and they use the same pump as the turbo models. There's that same. Yeah.
So it would no longer be a gravity fed engine then?
No. Yeah, you'll have a mechanically driven pump, engine driven pump, and then you have your electric driven fuel pump.
Okay. Any complaints for hot starting fuel injected engines? I know there's always that argument. I came from a fuel injected engine over to a carbureted on my 0540, so I know both.
Yeah.
I'm curious about this one, if it has some of those same peculiarities. They always say know your airplane or know your engine, so you can do a hot start with fuel injected.
Yeah, it's light commons are pretty tough because they're they're low pressure engines. Basically, like, it's amazing if you're idling there, you probably have on those rails, you have maybe half a psi or probably less than that. So they're low pressure systems, like compared to a Continental, and light commons are very tough to start. Hot start it for sure. It's like a complete different way that I do it. And there are several techniques, but there's one that never fails, which is the one that I use, which is I just put everything forward and then I put my pump on for about 1 second, 2 seconds, and then leave throttle full, mixture cut out, idle, and then you start it, and then you just move your throttle back, and then you put the mixture full. And that works 99.089%. So
I thought I knew how to, using that technique. I thought I knew all about hot starting like Lycomings until Mike Patterson showed me something I had never seen before yesterday. So there's all sorts of techniques, and there's the guys. Yeah, everybody's got their point of view.
Yeah, there's so many of them, but you could circulate fuel too and things like that. But I don't know. I just like my technique because it works for me, and I tell people, like, look, you're just gonna find your sweet spot there. But I'm pretty confident I can start a Lycoming hot that way.
Sure. Mike, were you gonna say something? Oh, I thought I heard Mike Patterson trying to say something there.
I have a couple questions, if you got a moment.
Sure.
Go ahead. Oh, so I have a couple questions. Number one, I assume hooking this thing up to a Dynon engine monitor wouldn't be an issue.
Dynon, no.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And then the next question is, are you aware, has anyone done the electro air ignition with that engine? Because that's what I have on my aircraft now.
Yeah, no, I actually we done our first electro air. Well, I being exposed to the electro air stuff very recently. I only had seen two of them in the shop, to be honest with you. So I have very little experience on the electro air stuff, but it certainly can be done. I mean, we talked to them quite a bit, and I learned quite a bit. But yeah,
Okay.
Craig Berger got
And
his
then
hand raised.
you still allow mechanics in the field to install it as well. It does not have to be done at airplanes. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, we ship it out way
Okay.
more than install it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us how that
Gotcha.
goes,
Yeah, if I do
Raphael.
this thing, I'll install it myself. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Does that
Thank
work
you.
out, or does that bring up problems, or how does that go?
Say if we install it.
No, if someone else does, if you send them the package, how many gremlins or things that unexpected happen?
I would say the 2.6 is pretty straightforward. There is very little. I mean, like I said, I think they're less than, yeah, what did I say, 12 parts or so. The rigging, I mean, it's super easy, and we can do it here in the shop in a week. I mean, you can have an engine. It's just that usually we're doing more than an engine almost every single time. You know,
that's what I mean. You run into things that you don't expect. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and customers just want new windows and now put this and avionics and stuff like that, which we love to do it, but it's never like a straight job. There's always more to it. So
sure. Craig Berger, your hand is up.
Hi guys. So I'm sorry I'm late. It took me forever to find the link. I've got the 300 horse. It was done in Wellington. I've got the Surefly that was done after the fact. And the team in Wellington also did my interior and headliner metal panel. And about 6 months ago, I did the MT prop. So there's pretty much everything that you can do I've done. And I really like the Surefly a lot. I've got a brand new 206. I'm debating whether I want to put that on there, but hot starts are like a non-issue. So.
Yeah, it helps for sure. The Surefly.
So the STC allows for the MT prop. Now that was you were the first one we've heard of who's done that.
Yeah. So the MT prop is a separate STC. I've got it from McFarlane, and it's for the IO 540, and it's. I mean, if I had to, I mean, the reality is this 300 horses. If I remember the numbers, about 78 pounds more forward of the firewall. So part of it was I was trying to get a little CG back, and it's quieter. It pulls like a freight train. Man, does it spin up! Holy moly! It's not any faster. I don't think I've lost any speed. I don't think I've gained any speed. This airplane, as Raphael knows, was my dad's. It was a turbo.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So to me, the biggest downside of the turbo is you have to step climb it. And with this airplane, you just kind of pick your deck angle and go until you decide where you want to be. So, but the MT prop is quieter. So I'm glad I did it. It wasn't cheap. It was probably 25 grand all in.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. Yeah, and MT can pretty much approve any prop you want with their STC. So, and we had a 2-blade 300 horse, I think. Yeah. Well, no, it was a 3-blade. Yeah. Okay. It was a 3-blade MT. We did another one for Mr.
That was the doctor. That was the doctor.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, if we're done with the 260, I guess I got a couple slides for the 300. If we're done with 260.
Sure.
Any other comments on the 260? Craig's leading the pack here on our discussion. So, yeah. So, let's say you hit the lottery, you can do either one, right? Craig just made a strong point for the bigger engine for sure.
Yeah, I mean the 300 is like Greg said is it's an animal for sure, and I think the rationale for the 300 horsepower conversion sounds like you have to be irrational to get one.
There you go.
But they're sure fun, man. I mean, it complete makes a different airplane, and the climb. I mean, mostly you're gonna see the climb, and it's one of those things you punch it, you go, and you climb like crazy. And of course, it sucks fuel. I mean, but once you get to altitude, it likes a sweet spot. I think it's about 9 to 10,000 feet. I like to fly high anyway. And I think that's where it really shines, the 300 horse. But it is a lot more complicated. We only do that at the shop. We do not send those out to get done by other shops because there's quite a bit that we do. There's a lot of work on the induction system and, of course, the battery relocation if it needs to be done. If you had a turbo prior to that, then it gets the battery relocated, but new exhausts, and then of course there's a header tank installation on those two.
Yeah, I just took this picture in our airplane a couple of weeks ago, figuring it'd be useful to realize that the 300 horse project is a whole different animal than a 260.
Yeah, there's quite a bit, but it's fun. I enjoy doing it. I mean, the guys in the shop, it's funny because we tell, hey, we booked a 300 horse, and they're like, oh no. I mean, joke aside, it's a fun project, but it takes a long time to just get through it. And unfortunately, we make so little of them that sometimes we tend to forget to. So, and we're doing the 18th conversion this year. We booked one more
18th.
For this
Okay.
year. Yeah, number 18 now.
Okay. Yep. I put that question in there. Why, on departure, does a 300 horse use the electric fuel pump that only up to, just for the departure portion? Why not on arrival too?
That's a great question. I don't know. I think it's mainly for safety. Somebody maybe just jump in if they know, but I would say, because they're a low pressure system, I believe the 260 does require the pump to be on too, doesn't it?
For landing?
For takeoff.
Oh, okay. I thought it was.
I'm almost sure.
I thought it was 300
think
only. Okay.
A safety thing. Honestly, I don't know that answer.
I've got to say, in 10 years, I don't use it, the auxiliary pump, and quite frankly, I asked Mike about it, and he agreed with that. So I'm not gonna say something different in the book, but I don't use it except on a hot start if I got to put a little fuel in there. Otherwise, I don't use it, or to prime the engine.
I don't believe it's in the AFMS.
Okay.
It is. I actually saw it recently because I didn't know it was.
It's there.
It's there for departure only.
Yeah.
Until you're at a safe altitude. Mike Patterson pointed this out. Yep.
It's actually departure and go around. It calls for the bulk landing procedures. It calls for it. So I would assume it's related to fuel demand. High fuel demands. Maybe the header tank can't keep up. I don't know, but.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm not sure, but since it's a much lower pressure system, my guess is that and like 172s, with the IO engines are the same thing. So, but since Craig fessed up, I'll say the same too. I don't use it, so.
Well, I didn't use it till recently, till Mike pointed out, and I thought, oh my gosh, I haven't been following proper procedure, but now I'm glad I'm not the only one. But
yeah, but that's my go-to. I mean, that's my takeoff checklist. Is like any hiccup or anything, just hit the pump on any airplane that's fuel injected. So
it's just the reason I asked is that like the Piper Saratoga has the same engine, and they want the fuel pump on for arrival and departure. I realize it's low wing, but it's the same setup.
Yeah, interesting. I have no idea.
Yeah. All right. I just wanted to show everybody what the header tanks look like from inside. That was the point of that. And then, of course, another variation between 260 and 300 is the nose gear, right?
Yeah. and that it makes it kind of funky looking there. And about, I think, maybe 5-6 inches of the wheel sticks out. Yeah, just because mainly it doesn't fit, so we have a jig that we modify the doors and make the opening, but essentially it's just basically they're touching the oil sump.
Does this make that rubber stopper pad more important?
Yeah, and we changed that, and we changed the. There's a that mechanical arm there that opens the doors that holds works out the whole mechanism for the door to open close, so that gets rigged differently, and there is a rubber stopper in there.
Yeah, at Oshkosh every year when I walk around and look at airplanes, I see a bunch that don't have a rubber stopper. So, but it seems like with this install, it's more important than maybe others.
Yeah, and basically, yeah, we just add a little shimmy there to make that, just a little taller on the rubber.
I just wanted to throw that in there as another difference. So, okay, so local shop. So never mind. That was a misunderstanding on my part. Local shops do not install, but is this correct here that 300 horsepower only is the only option? The 260 is not an option for the turbocharged R182?
Yes. So yeah, unfortunately, the 300 horse we have a way to do the turbo and the non-turbo, but the 260, the way it was done by Alamo, it's only the normally aspirated. The turbos are not in there, but there may be some surprise coming up in the future here on that. So,
oh, this is very exciting.
Yeah,
we may have a new configuration. It sounds like.
Yeah, so we'll see. I'm not gonna really announce it, but maybe we're working on something here. We'll see if it works.
How far away till we would know that?
You'll be probably another 6 months or so.
Okay.
Until we get things through. Yeah. So.
Oh, that's exciting. You're gonna hear back from us about that one.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. I hope so. I mean, we're hoping to use some of the 300 horse data to substantiate the 260. So, but
sure.
There may be some flight testing that's going to be needed and things like that. Because, I mean, last time I looked, I think it's pretty even between the RGs and the turbo and the normal aspirated. It's almost like an even number. I think they're like 1,200 in the U.S. total. We're 1,400.
We found 1,100 registered, but yeah.
Okay. So that's
400 with your turbocharged.
Okay. So it helps a little bit. I think it's probably like 40% is a turbo.
Would any of that project maybe might include oxygen system in the airplane?
We haven't thought about that one. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right, just asking.
Sure.
All right. Well, I just here's a 300 horse kit, but I guess that when I saw the kit, I thought, oh, that means that they allow people outside and other shops to do it, but never mind, that is incorrect.
Yeah, we want to, but the STC is it's unfortunately we just don't have it relies on a lot of notes and things that we have to, so it would be almost a nightmare if we don't rework that STC, and if we did more of it, it'd be a lot easier, but it's almost like we forget and then we got to teach ourselves again and do the STC. So
I want to make it clear to everybody on this call that Mike Pattison and Scott Sellers were not paid by Airplanes a penny. But yeah. Mike, would you describe this slide for a minute?
Yeah, actually, me and Raphael have talked in the past over my airplane. I bought my airplane, and actually, the slide that you see there is my actual airplane, and it was before I bought it. So
But
yeah, that's this one. Yep.
Yeah, the one on the left there. It's actually my airplane that I own now, and I bought it from a guy out of Miami, and it sat for a long time. So I've been dealing with corrosion and whatnot. I finally got it under control, but yeah, I love the airplane because, and I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. I'm just trying to play catch up with you guys, but I love my airplane because I do a lot of Mexico flying with it, and of course I'm on the West Coast, so I don't want to be hauling around the turbo because I wouldn't need it 80% of the time, but I also want the power and the speed, right? So the K1 G5 for me is perfect. In regards to the speed, we were down low and we had the power in and we had the fuel on it, but you can see we're doing 169 true there on the G5. That was what, yesterday
Yep.
afternoon.
That was yesterday. Yep.
And it was cold. And you know, but it's moving the mail. I mean, it depends on how fast you want to go. And I think his airplane flies phenomenal. There's some rigging issues with my airplane. It's not as fast as I want it to be. I think there's some drag in the tail, and me and Raphael have talked about it. I know the engine's super tight, and now it's onto the airframe. But Scott's airplane is as slick as it gets. That it's a phenomenal flying airplane. But I think out of the corner of my eye, I saw 170. I couldn't really tell, but we definitely see 169 there. So it's a fast airplane, and that's down low, right? You know, and that's definitely above 75% power. So we got the fuel on it, but and we didn't have enough time to get up to 7,500 feet or maybe 7,000, where the fastest it might be. But the airplane is definitely capable of it. So
yeah,
I got pictures too. Like every airplane, I take pictures and stuff, and that number, that's a pretty good average, the 167 true airspeed. And I fixed that slide there. I put a true airspeed, but on our website. But but I think they really tend to shine at about 9,000, somewhere in there, between 8 and 9. And the true airspeed comes out pretty good.
Well, Mike had the throttle wide open yesterday, and I think somebody's got to get muted here. Yeah. Anyway, Mike had the pedal to the metal yesterday, and that's how fast he got the airplane going in level flight. So, yeah. But it was cold. I mean, although 30 degrees this winter for us isn't that cold, but yeah. So anyway, just wanted to share that one as well. Yeah, this is another one about, support afterwards. What do we need to know, Raphael, about this?
Yeah, I mean, we really work hard. Aviation is just getting more expensive for all of us, and we all know that. And I mean, things are so expensive. Even the engines, they're $96,000 for an engine is just unreal. So you really have to love your airplane, and it's something that you do for yourself. And I usually tell people it's the worst investment you're gonna make, but it's for you, right? I mean, if you like flying and you enjoy it, you go to places, you like your airplane, it's gonna be the best investment because it's for yourself. And so we try to make sure we can support the STCs, and that's a big deal for me and everybody there. So we make a lot of parts, and we try to keep them affordable, and we always try to improve it. And so with the 260 horse too, we're always trying to fabricate some of the parts, and I think I even talked to Mike Patterson once that he was looking the little hangers, for the exhaust when they come out of the cow flaps there, those little piece of rubbers. I mean, they're ridiculously expensive if you buy from Cessna. So that's one of the things we're working on. Hey, we gotta make this so we can put on the STC so customers can buy it and not have to spend a gazillion dollars, because frankly, it should not be that price. And I think they're ridiculous.
Well, if I may comment on that, Raphael.
Yeah.
As an owner approved part, we cut a sidewall of a tire of the same shape, and it works great.
Yeah, I know. And I talk to everybody that has done that. Believe me, because everybody says, "Man, you won't believe that." They say, "Oh, I know." And so, yeah,
they've been doing that since World War II, man. That's not a new idea.
Yeah, well, and that's totally fine too. But yeah, there are just little things like that that we make sure that we can support the STC and
Yep.
have the parts, and even something like the arm for the
Exhaust.
prop,
Oh,
the prop, the constant speed prop. There's a arm that's in
yeah, the
there, and
governor. Yep.
the governor. Thank you. And that thing, I mean, just a piece of metal is ridiculous from Cessna. It was
exactly.
So we make him, and why not?
Yeah, we're going to follow up with you on that, because one of the things as a Type Club, we're always looking for that. McFarland makes a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of opportunities to make these airplanes better and more affordable by that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we all that fly GA, we know that nothing gets cheaper. So, but yeah, you got to be a little bit insane to be in this the GA. But hey, it's fun.
Well, on the other hand, I mean, look at the value of your airplanes in the field now that have your conversion, and they reflect it, right? I mean,
yeah. Everybody wants it, so people call us all the time. So they are always looking for it, and I got a broker that keeps texting me almost every week looking for stuff. So,
yeah.
A quick question back to the 260 conversion. What kind of engine cooling issues are experienced, or is it an issue, cylinder head temperature kind of thing, and any engine cooling issues?
So the light Cummings, they do run a little hotter. I know that there's this thing there that 400 degrees, but that really isn't for a Continental. And even Mike Bush agrees to that. He has an article that he says, for a Lycoming is 420 where he picks, and I do not disagree with that. We try to keep it on the 420s, however, which you can, but however, the baffling on the RG is the most intricate thing, and if you don't get it right, you really screw it up.
Okay.
So there is a lot of little tricks that you can do to on the baffling, but it's probably the trickiest one. Even like putting the cowling, and if you don't position things right, you can really screw it up real quick. And sometimes, we do little tricks, and on the RG, sometimes we'll put a little on number 5 cylinder, we'll put almost like a scoop on the back, so you promote some airflow there on the back of the engine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we do little tricks here and there, but I think with the right baffling, it's not a big deal. And also, when you put a brand new engine, things are super tight, especially a Lycoming, so they do run hot. And I say, like, it's uncomfortable to look at it, because if you're used to the 400s or below that, you're definitely going to see in the 420s for at least the first 50 or more hours. Let's say 50 hours to get a nice break in. But it's not hurting anything,
And then after break-in, still looking about 400s or so, or down.
After break-in, you should, if you're pushing on a hot day, I mean, you might get 410, 415, maybe close to 420, and most people can corroborate here, but I think you'll be looking at below 400s if you're flying altitude and making less than 75% for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
I run about 14 and a half gallons an hour, which is about 68, 69% of power, and I am usually in 350, 360.
Yeah.
Yeah. Climbing out in Texas, West Texas, where it's in the 100 range, dry. It's a dry heat. But I climbed to 9,000, I put a lot of fuel to it, but I have no problem keeping it right at 400 or under. For me, I know we can go up higher, but I like to keep it below 400. And before, I did want to jump back real quick to say about airplanes customer service. I bought my airplane with 66 hours. The engine was already installed. And after about the second year, unfortunately, I had a little crankcase weep when I took it in for annual. That it wasn't anybody's fault. It was, I guess, from manufacturing. But airplanes, even though it was just coming out of the warranty, from the Lycoming warranty, They removed the engine, sent it back to Lycoming. They went through the engine, they fixed the problem, and I think my all total cost was about $400 because everything was still under warranty. Now, Lycoming, of course, stepped in and took care of what they were supposed to in that respect, but I definitely want to, any chance I get, to point that out, that a lot of businesses will kind of draw a line to where their responsibilities are, but they obviously respected the previous owner's spend that he had put into the plane, and they carried it right up to me as well, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's tough because the parts that we make, we cover 100%, and so, but when it comes to engine, alternators, and other accessories, we have to go fight for the customer with, and I say fight, but we have to go advocate for you guys, with the OEM and the engine manufacturer, and we keep saying, come on, help us out, hurry up. And sometimes, their response is not as good. And we have instances, that, the electronic ignition failed, and that was with Dan. And so, it's just one of the things that happened. Brand new engine, and the EIS just gave up. And so now we're here trying to talk to them, and I think it was the weekend, some kind of Memorial Day, and then, hey, look, the customer needs this, he's stranded, and so we try our best to see if we can help the customers, and a lot of times it's just tough getting there, but Lycoming does come around, and they do a good job of supporting, so we try to advocate for the customer all the time, and so I wish we could have more control on it, but
Raphael, would that be a reason to have airplanes do an install rather than an individual or a shop? Because if a shop just calls up and they're nobody, at least airplanes is a big customer like Homings, right? So wouldn't that give you a little more leverage?
It could, yeah, it could. Although, we work with shops all the time, and Lycoming does a good job, and so does Continental. But sometimes it just takes a little more. Come on, let's go, let's move here, and calling, but I would say most people, they're very, very good at it, and but even like paying for labor and things like that, there's a big disparity between some shops and what the cost would be. So they say, hey, we pay this many hours and this much. And so we are usually more affordable than the East and West Coast. So especially the West Coast. So it's there's a huge difference there too, which sometimes it makes sense to just come to our shop. But
right.
But I would say, yeah, it helps if we're here, and even when there's trouble, it will be great if the plane was back at our shop, and we could just work it out. But sometimes that's not the case. The plane breaks down when it leaves, and so now it's very unfortunate because somebody just paid a lot of money for a brand new engine, and now it's not working. So that's pretty annoying.
Yeah, well, that's the nature of our world, right? Sometimes things don't work perfectly, and then we just have to deal with it. So,
yeah,
airplanes never break. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and especially like we have, that's the other thing too. The upgrades that we do, they're somewhat invasive. So, we get there in the fuel system and do things that are a little bit different. So, even like just going there and now changing your fuel select, there's some people that never change from left and right. They just keep them both, right? And sometimes just turning that fuel selector left and right or off, like that seal just goes to crap, and then it starts leaking, and so you find problems as you go.
Yeah.
And they're old planes, 50, 60 years old, and it just happens. But
sure.
And it is a little invasive, but even the plastic, if you look at it, they'll break. So you know how it is.
Understood. Yep. Anything else from anybody that we want to cover here before we turn off the recording?
I got one more question. Because I said I'm in a rather unique position here because, like I said, I've got this electro-air ignition on my airplane, and I just replaced the starter and alternator with the low weight kind airplane or anyway, um, if I did this conversion, and is there a way, because I'd probably want to put a composite prop on the airplane as well, and from what I researched a little bit before, that I wouldn't need ignition, I wouldn't need a prop, I wouldn't need any of these other things that come with the engine. Is it all a possibility if I sourced an engine from another place but still bought the kit from you? Would that be an option at all?
Yeah, I think, and Katie could probably answer that, but yeah, it's certainly an option for sure.
All right,
We
because yeah,
can,
if I found an engine that didn't have any accessories at all, it would be perfect because I basically got all of them from this engine
yeah,
to put in the new one because I just replaced pretty much everything, so it's all pretty brand new. So
yeah. And are you talking about the 260 or the 300?
260, yeah, the
Okay,
260.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, certainly possible. Yeah,
Well, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
yeah,
I appreciate it. I got to go to work, but I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
yes, sir.
Hey, Russ. There is another question here in the chat that says, this is from Minder Niemeyer, does the STC get rid of the 20,000 foot maximum certified altitude for that TR182?
Mm,
I don't know if they're talking about your development project or.
yeah, so yeah, and that's a good question. So the way I understand is that the ceiling is not like a limitation, and I could be completely wrong, but my understanding is that the service ceiling is not a limitation per se, at least. And I know like a pressurized airplane would have that for sure, but on the engine side, like I don't know if the turbo, I have to study that to answer, but I don't think there is a actual called out limitation on the turbo. Is there, like on altitude? Or I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, I don't have a TR. I don't know.
Yeah,
Any TR people? Jeff, do you know that?
I do not.
Okay.
yeah. But yeah. So there's basically no limitation. I mean, and the 300 horsepower, the straight leg 182s, their customer flying at 22,000 feet. So
Sure. I've heard of that. We've got a guy, W.D. Lewis, who's done a lot of that. He would know.
yeah.
Anybody else? Anything? Any other items before we shut down the recording here?
Raphael, as far as y'all producing parts to support the airplanes, have y'all looked into airboxes? I know y'all specialize in straight leg 182, like continental powered airboxes, but the airbox is a hot spot for the R182, and there's no one that currently offers overhaul for them.
Yeah, great question. So the answer is yes, we're looking to it for sure, and that comes with the other announcement there. That's a big part of it. Yes,
And not just the main airbox, it's actually got the carb heat valve in it. I know it doesn't pertain to you guys because I know y'all's intake is different, but for those of us that have to keep the stock engine for financial reasons, there's a secondary airbox that bolts directly to the carburetor. And so the main airbox that has the secondary airbox that bolts directly to the carburetor, the only company that even has that part number loaded to it is AWI. And they said the last time they overhauled one was 2008 or 2012 or something like that. And they have no clue. They've lost all the data. They've lost all the notes. They have no clue how much it would cost and no clue how long it would take.
Oh, okay.
So that would be something to look into that would help support the fleet. Is that secondary airbox? There's no one that'll work on it except for like a local sheet metal guy.
Yeah, I forgot about the secondary airbox. Yeah, that's something for sure to look at. Okay.
I'm actually involved in a project right now with that, so I'll follow up with you, Raphael.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool. All right, so let me see if I can turn off this recording.